Alrighty, hi there, Danny. Welcome to today's lesson. Today is going to be super fun. We are going to talk about missing numbers in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. How to find those missing numbers. First of all, don't you love the way the earth rotates? I love the way the earth rotates. It really makes my day. Probably makes your day too, huh? Let's start with some mental math and some satisfying pictures to go with it, okay? 6 Remember how to do that? Write your answer. 2.5 dozen. Half of 1,000. 1,200 plus 300. If I go too fast, you can just pause the video, okay? 750 minus 500. And then 30 times 30. Hopefully you could do those in your head. All right, we're going to do another little problem here in your head. We're going to start with the number of minutes in an hour. Divide by 2. Then subtract 5. Double that number. Subtract 1. Then divide by 7. What is the answer? Okay, write your answer down. Hopefully you got that right. And then, Houston, we have a problem. We are going to go on to our problem solving. And in this problem, this is really interesting because they describe a theater. So I put a picture of like theater seats right there so you can kind of picture what they're talking about, even though the number of seats is not going to be the same as in the problem, okay? It's just so you can visualize it. In one section of a theater, there are 12 rows of seats. So it would go back all the way to 12. In the first row, there are 6 seats. In the second row, there are 9 seats. And in the third row, there are 12 seats. If the pattern continues, how many seats are in the 12th row? So you're going to take what you learned about sequences last time, remember, and see if you can find the pattern there, and then find how many seats are in the 12th row. I'll be interested to see how you do that, okay? That'll be awesome. All right, let's stay positive. We are going to move on to our new concept of the day. The new concept is just the idea of an equation. What is an equation? We've got an equal sign here. We've got something of value here and something of equal value on the other side of the equation. An equation is a statement where the two quantities are equal. So here's an equation, and then here's another equation. This equation on the right has a variable in it. The variable is that letter. It can be it represents a number, an unknown number. So in this lesson, we're going to be practicing finding the value of variables, and it can be in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. All right, let's start with addition, missing numbers in addition. Sometimes we encounter addition equations where the sum is missing. Here's an example of where the sum is missing. Remember, this is an addend, this is an addend, this is the sum. So then all you have to do is really add those together. Sometimes we encounter addition equations in which an addend is missing. So here on the right, I show an equation where the addend is missing. 2 plus something is 5. Here's another one where the addend is missing. b plus 3 is equal to 5. And we use letters, obviously, to represent the missing number. The letter can be uppercase, it can be lowercase, it doesn't matter, okay? All right, so if we know, here's the trick that you need to know. As long as we know 2 out of the 3 numbers in any equation, if we know 2 out of the 3 numbers, you can find the missing number. There is no way that test makers can sort of trick you. They have to give you 2 out of the 3 numbers, and then you can find the third one. You can find a missing addend. So look over here to these equations to the right. You can find one of those missing addends. All you have to do is subtract the known addend from the sum. So it's going to be 5 minus 2, and then you'll find that. Here you can subtract this known addend by subtracting the other addend from the sum. So it would be 5 minus 3, put the number 2 there, b is 2. Okay, sometimes there are more than 2 addends. And then here's an example of this, a really super long. I put the Pink Panther here because he's kind of like a detective. And we have to be a detective finding this number n. So all you do is you subtract all of these numbers. It's the same thing. Subtract all of these numbers from the sum. So the way I do that is I like to add all of these together. 3 plus 4 is 7. then you have another 7 here, you get 14, then you have 8, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22. So you're going to be subtracting 22 from 40, and then that's the answer that you're going to get. And that would be n. Okay? You got it? I know. You're probably looking at me like this, like, I know this, Mom. Well, if you do know it, let's jump into the example number 1. We're going to find the missing number in each equation. So the numbers are a little harder here. N plus 53 is equal to 75. The way I kind of do these in my head is I subtract. You can do the same thing to both sides of an equation, and it still makes the equation equal. Here, when I subtract 53 from 53, I get 0, and so that just basically cancels out. And then all I'm left with on this side of the equation, on the left side, is n equal, because that's 0. And then all I have to do is subtract 75 minus 53. And I do that in the ones place first. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then I do it in the tens place. 7 minus 5, and I'm going to get another 2. And then the answer is n equals 22. Easy peasy, right? Now, you can check your answers here. So if we thought that n is equal to 22, the good thing to do whenever you have problems like this, and what the book wants you to do, is to plug this number back into the n and check it and see if you're right. So if n really is 22, it would be 22 plus 53 equals 75. And if that is a true statement, then you got the answer right. It's like you have the answers to your own questions. You have the answer book, and you can check your answers to see if you're right. Let's move on to this one. 26 plus a is equal to 61. Now we know the concept already. All we do is subtract 26, the other addend, from 61. And I'm going to get a is equal to whatever this answer is. Okay? So here we're going to have to borrow. 1 minus 6, you can't do that. So we're going to borrow from the 6, make that a 5. And then 11 minus 6 is 5. 5 minus 2 in the tens place here is going to be 3. So a is equal to 35. What are we going to do next? Check our answer. Plug that back into the original equation. The original equation was 26 plus a. I'm going to plug in that a is equal to 61. If this is a true statement, we got it right. Is it true? Yeah, we did it. Yeah, we did it. So the missing number was 35. Easy. All right, what about this super long, difficult looking equation? No problem, no problem. All you have to do is add up all of those other numbers. So we've got a 3 and a 4, a 7 and an 8. And when we add up all those numbers, we get 22. So this equation is the same as 22 plus n is equal to 40. And then we know how to do that. Super easy, right? I'm going to get a different color. I'm just going to subtract 22 from both sides. That cancels out. N is going to be equal to 40 minus 22. If you do the math on that, you're going to get 18. And even in a complicated equation like this, you can take that 18 and plug it back into there. So let's do that. Plug in 18. If this whole thing is true, then we know that we got the math problem right. And we did. All right, let's talk about missing numbers in subtraction. I know you're thinking this. Why are you the way that you are, right? You're thinking that. Because math is fun. We love it. This is just to remind you of the terms. So it's minuend minus subtrahend is the difference. Okay, just a little reminder here. So there's always those 3 numbers in a subtraction equation. If one of the 3 numbers is missing, you can find the missing number. Remember, they have to give you 2 out of the 3. So you can find that third one super easy. What if they're giving you a minuend that is a variable? So that would be this number. N minus 3 is equal to 2. That's a missing minuend because this is in the place of minuend, right? So n minus 3 is 2. To find a missing minuend, what you do is you add these other numbers. Whoops. Let's do that again. You're going to add these other numbers. The way I think about it is I kind of think I'm going to look at this equation. I'm going to do the same thing to both sides of the equation. I'm going to add 3. When I add 3, I'm left with this. That cancels out to 0. So n is equal to 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is, of course, you know this, 5, right? And that's the answer. And with this type of thing, you can always check your answer, Plug this 5 into here. 5 minus 3 is 2. If that's a true statement, and it is, then we got it right. All right, what if we have a missing subtrahend? So that's the second number there in that equation. Remember, minuend minus subtrahend. So in this case, the subtrahend is missing. What do we do to find that? When you have a missing subtrahend or a difference, or this one's missing, all you do is subtract. So in this situation, we're going to subtract the 2 from the 5 to get that number. That's a little more tricky in algebra when I'm trying to do like the same thing to both sides of an equation. But let's see, I can do it. Minus 2 minus 2. And then I'm also going to add plus x to both sides. That makes it so the x is on the other side. So now let's look at what I did. 5 minus 2, I'm doing this equation up and down now. 5 minus 2 is going to be 3. Negative x plus x cancels out to 0, so you don't have to bring anything down. I'm going to bring down that equal sign. Then here I've got 2 minus 2, that means 0, so that just cancels out. And I just bring down that x, so x is equal to 3. Check your answer. 5 minus 3 is 2. Is that true? Yes, it is. Okay, let's move on. What if you have a missing difference? That one's super easy. All you do is you don't know the answer to the question. 5 minus 3 is equal to m. What's m? It's the answer to 5 minus 3. So all you do is subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2, so m is equal to 2. Let's try some examples. I know you're thinking you're a victim of a hate crime. You're not a victim. I'm doing it because I love you, right? Example 2, find the missing number in each equation. Let's start with this one. P minus 24 is equal to 17. Here we have a missing minuend, so we're going to add the other two numbers. But I like to think of it in terms of algebra, so I'm going to add 24 to both sides of the equation. And then when I do the math there, I've got P. This cancels out, so I'm going to bring down the equal sign, and then all I have to do is 17 plus 24. So I'm going to add those things together. 17 plus 24, the answer is 41. Right? Because 7 plus 4 is 11, carry the 1, 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. So P is 41. Okay, easy. What about the next one? 32 minus x is equal to 14. All right, how do we solve this one? Here we have a missing subtrahend. So to find a missing subtrahend, we subtract the difference from the minuend. You basically have to do 32 minus 14, and then you'll get x. Okay, so if we do that, we get the answer of 18, and let's check our answer. Just plug the 18 into that equation. And is that true? It sure is. You could even check it with a calculator. It's totally true. We got it right. Let's go over missing numbers in multiplication. Remember, multiplication is an equation where you have a factor times a factor is equal to a product. You can have a missing product. That's easy. All you do is multiply those factors together and you'll get the answer. If you have a missing factor, that's a little bit more tricky, right? You have to do the inverse operation. What's the inverse operation for multiplication? It's going to be division. So if you have a problem like this, 3 times f is equal to 6, all you do is divide both sides by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, so f is going to be equal to 2. On this one, same thing. You've got a missing factor. All you have to do is divide by 2, and you've got r is equal to 3, and that's going to be your answer. Okay, let's do these. Example 3. I know, are you overwhelmed right now, or is this old information for you? I don't know. Tell me if you're overwhelmed or if you already know this stuff. 12 times n is equal to 168. I'm going to divide both sides by 12. Those 12s cancel out. Now I have n is equal to 168 divided by 12. All you have to do is do the math on that, and you will get an answer of 14. Just do long division. You can skip ahead if you know how to do this already, but basically, how many times does 12 go into 1? 0. So how many times does 12 go into 16? It goes in once. 1 times 12 is 12, subtract, 16 minus 12 is 4, bring down that 8. How many times does 12 go into 48? 4 times. Got the same answer. All right, let's move on to B. 7K is equal to 105. I'm going to tell everyone to get the door because I just heard the door. And I don't know if anyone else heard it. Okay, so we have 7K is equal to 105. Here we're going to divide both sides by 7. 7 divided by 7, that cancels out. So I'm left with K is equal to 105 divided by 7. All you have to do is do the long division on that, and you will get the answer of 15. Check your answer, okay? In the next problem, we have 2 times 3a is equal to 30. Okay, this one's a little trickier. Do you know how to do these? Let's figure this out. 2 times 3a. So there are 3 factors. There's a 2, and there's a 3, and there's an a. So one way to find the a is to divide the product 30 by one of the known factors and then divide the result by the other known factor. So you can divide here both sides by 2. These 2's cancel out, and you have 3a is equal to 30. And then you still have to do it again. Divide both sides by 3. These 3's cancel out. And then you've got a is equal to 30 divided by 3, which is 10. You can check your answer. 2 times 3 times 10 is going to be 30, and that is true. Okay, there's another way to do it, and you'll get the same answer. You can just multiply the 2 times the 3. Okay, so 2 times 3 is 6, and so you can simplify this to 6a is equal to 30. And then just divide 30 by 6. You're actually dividing both sides by 6, and then the 6's cancel out. A is equal to 30 over 6, and you get the same answer of 5. Okay, what if there are missing numbers in division? I put this little mnemonic here so you can remember the words associated with division. Okay, you've got a quotient, that's the answer. That's the queen. See how it's wearing the crown? Quotient starts with Q, queen starts with Q. The Q sits on top of this answer. She sits on her throne, right? Underneath this little house, this is the den. That's why we have D-E-N circled there. The den. The dividend is the number that is just sitting in the den waiting to be divided. It's typically the bigger number that's waiting to be divided into smaller pieces. Over here, we've got a divisor that is coming to knock on the door. The divisor is the number that's doing the dividing. So this divisor, wearing this visor, which is a hat, is coming into this house and is the one doing the dividing. Okay, that's how you can kind of remember that. So what if you have a missing quotient? That means you just don't know the answer. All you do is divide the other numbers. 24 divided by 3 is n. No problem. Just divide 24 by 3, you'll get the answer. What if you have a missing divisor? Remember what that number is. The divisor is the one wearing the visor cap. It's coming in, it's the one doing the dividing. When you have a missing divisor, what you're going to do is you're going to divide the dividend, that's this big number waiting to be divided, by the quotient, which is this answer. So 24 divided by 8, that's how you would find this m. Okay? And then to find a missing dividend, all you do is you multiply the quotient by the divisor. So let's look at the picture. If the dividend is the one that's missing, you multiply the other two. Okay, let's do some examples because this can be a little tricky. So let's do some examples. Find the missing numbers in each equation. Here, what do we have missing? The A right here is missing. This is a missing dividend. This is the number that's sitting in the den waiting to be divided. When you have that, you multiply the other two. 3 times 15. When you multiply 3 times 15, you get, what, 45. Always check your answer. Is this true? 45 divided by 3 is 15? Yes, it is. Okay, what if you have a missing divisor? If you have a missing divisor, you divide the dividend by the quotient, by the answer, 64 divided by 4. And when you do that, you get the answer of 16. Always check it. Is this true? Yes, it's true. Okay. I can show you a different way to do it. I think I'll show you the different way when we do it in person. But always check your answer, and I think you'll get it right. All right. What about, let me do my thing. Okay. Actually, that's it. That's the end of the lesson. Oh, I can't believe it ended so soon. Okay, I'll let you do your homework, and then I'll show you the other way that we can find those missing numbers when I get home, okay? Love you, Danny. Good luck with homework. Bye.